Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. This is Imtiaz Patel Variawala here, Buzz Media, in conversation with Taj Bhai, from the most wanted to be the most loved one now in Bolton. Taj Bhai, we have examined your past. Well, you have examined your past. We have touched upon your present. What is your message to our young people? And if you have learned, if you can change one thing in your life, even now further on, what would be that element be?
Okay, first of all, this is the thing I would say to all my young brothers, youngsters. In our Asian community, when we go into the Asian community, there's a lot of backgrounds, Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Indian, here, whatever, Japan, Nepalese, whatever. It's all Asian community or even the youngsters these days, whether if you're white or black or whatever you are. Point is, look, it's not even worth going down the path. If there was one thing I could change in my life, if I could go back in time, what point would it be I would go back to? And that would be the very first time I ever held a cigarette in my hand. That was my starting point. That was my starting point to becoming a bad boy or a so-called gangster. In reality, we say I'm a gangster when we walk around with 3 or 4 different people behind us. Are they really your friends? No, they're not. Because when you go behind bars, who are the first ones to run away? Are these so-called friends and gangsters. When you get arrested by the police, who is the first one that says, "No, don't ring me, erase my number from your phone quick"? Are these so-called gangsters. Who are the people that stick by you in that way? It's your family and your true brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
It's your parents. Because the moment you get arrested and they get a phone call or a knock on the door and they see a police officer, or the phone says, "Oh, good evening, sir. This is PC, blah, blah, blah." Can you imagine what goes through their heads? The very first thing, when we're so-called being gangsters out there, they get a knock on the door from the police and they see a police officer in uniform. But I've seen my own mother end up on the floor unconscious because I was in the back of a police van in handcuffs. She thought, what the hell has happened here? When she came round, and I came home after 24 hours, she said to me, "I thought the police officer is going to tell me that someone stabbed you and you're dead." Can you imagine what kind of feeling that goes? I can feel that today. I can imagine how that feels being a father of 3. I can imagine how that would be. Because when my son goes out today and he gets past 9 o'clock and I'm ringing him, although I know where he is, although I know he's on the straight and narrow, he's got not a large group of friends. I can imagine when he doesn't answer his phone, I can imagine what I'm going through. Nobody knows. Only a father would know. Or a parent would know. So when you say I'm a gangster, you're not a gangster, because the real gangster in every part of the world is the police. They are the real gangsters. And what kind of gangsters are they? They are the type of gangsters that actually stop you from being a bad boy. They are the type of people who we say bad, they're actually doing such a good job, that they are trying to prevent new victims from coming into this game. They are stopping these old so-called selfish people. I call them selfish. I call them very selfish, because they are destroying your lifestyle. They are making you an addict. For what? To fill their pockets. Where is this money really going? Does anyone know? Nobody knows. But this money is actually going towards the destruction of the world, of the young generation of today's people in their way. I got to a point where I'd seen death so closely 3 times in my life. I've had 4 heart attacks in my life. I've got 4 stents in. I'm pending 2 bypasses. They cannot carry them out. Purely and simply because of the damage these drugs have done to me internally. Right now, I'm suffering from severe epilepsy that's caused by these drugs. I've suffered 4 heart attacks. I can't walk down the street without being breathless. I can't get out of the house purely and simply because of my health. Pancreatitis, severe epilepsy. I've got nerve entrapment. The effects of all this that it has on me, it's unbelievable. Kidney failure, liver failure. I'm going through a lot. I'm on a medication that is unbelievable. Every morning, 15 to 16 tablets I have to have for my breakfast. Through the day, I'm living on various medications just to keep me going. There was a point where in my house in Dubai, the doctors had turned around and said to me, look, today, that's it, we've done everything we could for you. It's all in the hands of God. Believe it or not, we all sat down, my family cried, even my children. I gave them my will, look, when I die, you gotta give me ghusl in such a masjid. Make sure my janaza goes from here to this route. When you're burying me, don't bury me in my coffin, bury me straight into the mud. We've done all this for full 6 hours. My family's in and out of my house saying their last goodbyes to me. But when they say, when your intentions are pure and someone's dua comes to hand, and who is that someone? Nobody else but your parents. I lost my father 5 years ago through corona. Now I feel the value of a father not being there. Now I feel I miss those tauntings that I used to think were taunts, or the rollickings that I used to think is for my bad, but they were for my good. I wish my father was alive today to see me change from a drug user to a lover. From the person that I was, that nobody wanted to know. Even my own brother, who is a doctor, felt ashamed to ring me. But today, he feels so proud to be sat next to me in Jazbay. That's unbelievable. Today, Alhamdulillah, when I turned my point around in 2021, or was it round about 2021, I changed my ways around. Alhamdulillah, now everybody who didn't want to know me wants to associate with me. And that's not my so-called drug users or my gangsters or my friends, because believe it or not, every single one of them don't want to know me now. Nobody wants to know me from that side. And you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind because I don't need them. You only need gangsters or fighters when you're in that environment. I'm not in that environment anymore. I'm associating with businessmen these days. I'm associating with doctors these days, MPs and councillors. I'm associating with the imams and the masjid leaders and the mosque committee members.
And if I may put it this way, you got your self-respect and
Alhamdulillah, and this is what I'm coming.
That is priceless.
And when you're hanging around these people, you don't need gangsters because you're not involved in any fights. You've got no reason to fight him, Delby. So you've got no reason. And that gives you more respect.
Absolutely.
The community recognizes you from the people that are around you. My father always used to say to me, if you get one bad apple and put it in the basket of 10 good apples, the rest of the 10 good apples will be impacted by it and they will start getting scars and become bad. And today I see the meaning of that. And I would say to my youngsters these days, I would say to everybody, look, nobody's a gangster. Don't become a drug user. If you are a drug user and you think you cannot get away from it, I am your prime example, who was a cocaine user for 10 years. 10 years. And I'm not talking about £10 or £20 bag that you can get. I'm talking about at least an 8 ball or a quarter of an ounce or half an ounce. An 8 ball, everybody knows what that is. Yeah, forget it. I was using more than a quarter of an ounce a day, bro. Get off it. It's not hard. It's all a game of mind over matter. If you want to get in touch with me and if you want to know how I've done it, get in touch with me, boss. they'll approach me. I'm more than happy to counsel you. I'm more than happy to guide you through how to stop your addiction. I'm more than happy to be there for you. I'll be that first point of contact to help you come off it if you want to come off it. But you've got to be willing to do it for the sake of yourself, then your family. Your family could be your kids, could be your parents, could be your wife,
Sisters.
whoever.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever.
Yeah.
You've got to be the first one to say, I want to stop it.
Thank you. Tazbhai, that has been very profound, very powerful, very emotional, though full of logic, good wisdom. And what touched me that at one point you started talking to yourself and you started realizing that something is not right. And then you had courage, you had wisdom and duas, which actually transform your life. And I hope that this story will touch the hearts of millions and thousands, those who are in the kind of field which they want to come out, and those who are not, as a matter of message and precautions, that it's not worth going into that vicious circle. On behalf of Beavers, we are really grateful to Tajbhai because it's a very, I would say, courageous of him to, number one, to confess the reality and the life he was living, and number two, more courageous to even come out of that mess and living as a very normal, nice family life with respect, recognition. And that's why the title we have given to this particular program is From the Most Wanted to the Most Loved One. He's a very nice guy now, very calm, very cool, very emotional, and we have great conversations on a lot of difficult subjects. And one of the reasons, Tajbhai, we are doing this program is that this is part of our campaign called the Public Health Education and Promotions.
No.
And this program is part of alcohol and drug awareness and public health and awareness, which the information empowers you, what I call, to make the right and informed choices. Because I've been in NHS for more than 26 years in the department where I was very closely working with drug and alcohol department, and the training which we used to do, the information we used to share with the young people, the colleges, the education. And I think today you have reminded me of my long career with NHS by talking to a fascinating journey which I consider as a case study for our Asian community, that look what drug and alcohol can do potentially, and if you are in that field, it is possible with your will, with your conviction, to come out and to live a nice, normal family life. So once again, Tajbhai, we are so indebted that you are so courageously you have shared your emotions and your honesty throughout the journey, your confession. Every single word, every single line has a story, I would say. There's a lot to learn, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, Buzz is very pleased to announce that this kind of series is part of our public health and health promotion empowerment process, and this is to do with alcohol and drug awareness within our community. If you think that any subject which is simple or tough needs discussion, needs dialogue, then you can contact on our Buzz telephone line, which is 07950 288 228. You can submit your suggestions through the WhatsApp, or you can ring us and you can share this any difficult and interesting subject which you think that would empower our community. Because at the end of the day, through media, we want to create education, information, and empowerment of our community. Tajbhai, 60 seconds, final words.
Final words, don't become a drug user. Don't become a victim. Don't become a funder for these particular people, because they are living off your wealth. I have seen businessmen become street users. I have seen people lose their Rolls Royces. I've seen people lose their wealth, their health, everything. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from these kind of people. Because the true life is your family. The true earning in your life is your family. You lose your family, you've lost everything. One last thing I will say. Since I've become straight and narrow, in the past 5 years, there hasn't been one day where I've had police knocking on my door. Not even one day. I haven't had one day someone knocking on my door saying, yo bro, you owe me money. And I have had one person knocking on my door saying, are you interested in drugs? I have had one phone call or a message, because one thing I did was I left the numbers, I left everything behind. Leave your past behind. Past you cannot change. Future you cannot predict. The present is what you're living for. You will live, and if you want to live, live it with your family in a healthy way. Because drugs will only destroy you, your family, your life, your health, your wealth, everything around you. It's not worth it.
We'll end this interview with those powerful, again, profound, very positive and inspirational piece of advice and message from Taj Bhai. Once again, thank you for watching with our producer and CEO Farooq Bhai, and with our videographer and studio manager Sadab Bhai. Once again, Taj Bhai, thank you so much. And I hope that this will be the beginning of this conversation. We have many other parts 2, part 3 to make in terms of going into a little bit more detail onto the subject, and would be very useful for our viewers. Thank you for watching
Definitely.
Bebuzz Media UK.
Thank you, guys.